guys this evening. You guys, it is another Thursday night, and you guys are live here on the Dixie Belle Paint Facebook and Instagram pages. My name is Brandy. I am with Brushed by Brandy, and I am a Dixie Belle Paint brand ambassador. We paint live every week, every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. You guys, my husband Sean is here behind the camera to help answer any questions, so please pop on and ask any questions you may have about what I'm working on or anything else you might be working on. We're happy to answer those as we go, and I also check them back after the broadcast for any that I may have missed during the broadcast too. So what are we going to do tonight?
We're just going to hang out.
Yeah, I'm tired. My kids are in summer camp right now and it's been exhausting. Okay, no, what are we going to do tonight? We are working on this little tea cart right here. Okay, and it's actually coming out really cute, but this has been a bear of a project because this is the first tea cart that I've ever done. And the thing that I didn't realize about tea carts is you literally have to take them apart into a million pieces. And they have, oh, where's that? Oh, I mean, this thing has a handle, a drawer, a tray, wheels, levels. I've had to turn it upside down and inside out and take all the drop leaves off. And
it's autonomous.
A million
it
screws.
drives itself.
Yeah, it's got machinery in there. No, I'm kidding about that part, but it's a lot of pieces. So someone said on one of my posts today, like, moving parts, move on by. Like, that's
so true.
Solid advice. So this may be the only tea cart you ever see me do, but it's going to be a cute one, I'll tell you that. So this tea cart is actually inspired by the sunflower transfer. This is in the Bells and Whistles line from Dixie Belle. And Bells and Whistles is the accessory line from Dixie Belle Paint. So it includes their transfers, stencils, silkscreen stencils, papers, things like that are all in the Bells and Whistles line. And look how perfect now you can kind of see it come together when you see the sunflowers up against the mustard color that I'm using. These are going to go on my cart, okay? But let's keep working on this paint finish. And then when you guys see the finished product, these sunflowers are what's going to kind of pull it together.
So I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Kind of pertains overall.
I feel like
you
save like a list for Thursday nights.
Oh man, they go. Yeah, they keep going. You ever lose your painting mojo?
Oh my gosh, yes. All the time, you guys. That is such a great question. That is a very, very, very normal thing. What do I do to get out of it? I either take a break, take a few days off, even just a day, walk away from your project if you need to, come back and look at it with fresh eyes after a few days, take a weekend and go out with your family. Sometimes I need to step away from painting, and I'm kind of in one right now where I got to like near burnout and I needed to slow it down. So I've done less pieces this month than I normally have. I spaced out my customs a lot more.
So you find it a little easier because you step out with someone else's family, or you kind of just step out with your own family?
Yeah, you're kind of wondering who I'm stepping out with. Yeah. You guys, yeah.
Oh, because you're stepping out.
Okay, no, that's a great question, and it's a very, 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 very normal thing. I think the more pieces you do. Another thing I think that I just did that helped is I did a piece for my own home that was just what I wanted. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of it. I get to keep it. Like, that was kind of refreshing for me too. So that's something too. You know, go do something for yourself, I guess. No matter what it is, whether it's time or a piece or a break or whatever, you need to do something for yourself if you're feeling that way.
Well, there's a couple of people, there's a couple of people that aren't able to view your picture. There's something going on maybe with Facebook today?
I don't know. Try going out and going back in. That helps a lot too. And sometimes you may need to go out of Facebook completely. I haven't heard anything today, and usually we keep it pretty in touch among our team. If there is stuff going on, I probably would have heard. So try going out and going back in again.
Because we're fine. And the majority is okay.
If not, worst case scenario, these do go up on replay after the broadcast is over, the live broadcast. You can watch them on replay. Sometimes if there's funky stuff during the live broadcast, the replay's better.
Hold on, what's it look like when there's funky stuff?
Funky stuff.
All right. I feel like you're a DJ.
Yeah, like a DJ?
Yeah, but I don't think it sounds that way.
No?
Yeah, no.
Also, we're on Instagram too, on the Dixie Belle page on Instagram, so you can head over there and check out Instagram too if you guys are on both. Okay, so let's talk about colors. What am I going to be painting this cart? So the colors I've got on here are Kernel Mustard. My Kernel Mustard is tinted with a little bit of collard greens. So Kernel Mustard is a pretty bright color, and I love the color, but I like it a little bit toned down. it's a little, I don't know, it's a little primary for me. And so I just tone it with a little bit of paint. So I took a 16-ounce container. I poured, was an extra container that I had left over from old paint. I save my old containers if they're semi-savable. And I just poured Kernel Mustard in here, and I poured it, I don't know, it was only probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of collard greens. It didn't take a lot, and I just tinted it. It's not a 50-50 mixture. That would be way too much because the collard greens overpowers the yellow really easily. So I just tinted that a little bit to get this. It's still Kernel Mustard, but it's a very...
Well, Tammy said she wasn't able to stream it on her TV, but she could on her phone.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think I've actually blocked that because my face on a 70-inch is my worst fear in the world. Sorry, guys. I'm kidding. And then, okay, so I've got my Kernel Mustard mixed with collard greens and buttercream. So it's really a 2-color blend, but one of my colors is a mix, okay? So we're going to do the same blend that I have on this tabletop. We're going to do it here on this tray, which is a smaller example. The reason I didn't try to do this tabletop on a live is because let me give you guys some tips about doing a tabletop. I put these leaves up. It's a really big surface, okay? It's a big surface. The larger your surface, the harder it is to get a consistent blend. Sean videotaped it, so I do have video. I had to move fast because the paint dries at such a large area and I'm trying to blend it, and I had to move fast. There's no way I could have talked through it or concentrated or anything. I was focused. So that was something that I did on a video, but I didn't try to do it on a live video because I know that those large surfaces are a challenge, okay?
I don't want to give you cause for concern. Karina said
but you
that,
do on a daily
but I do
basis.
like to do that anyway.
Yeah.
It's with all due respect.
Yeah.
And then whatever else
With all due
follows is
respect, I'm gonna just
totally
respect
okay.
you.
Katarina says you're on her 70-inch TV right now, by the way.
Katarina, I'm gonna just ask that you tone it down to. Can we get like?
Can you just walk in the next room and listen?
Like a 32-inch. I think that's where I'm comfortable. That's where. Otherwise, I start feeling like I need to wear like pore minimizing makeup. Okay. So what I've got here is I went ahead and coated my entire tea cart in just a base coat of my mixture of Kernel Mustard and collard greens. And I did that because I wanted just coverage so that when I'm blending, I'm not trying to get coverage at the same time. I've already got coverage. I just want to blend this tray out. So let's go ahead and work on this. I want to go ahead and give it a light sanding because I like to just lightly sand in between my coats. I'm just going to use this worn sanding block. It's about the same grit.
You need to just stop talking. Apparently, Charlotte says I should just sing during your live. You want to see the following drop?
Yeah, you've never heard Sean sing.
Yeah.
Guys. I'm just gonna advise against that. You know who you want to hear sing is actually my oldest son. Has this deep voice. Like I keep telling him he will sound like who do I say?
I keep saying, but who is it?
Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan. I always tell him, like, he's got that deep voice. Okay, so I just lightly sanded. I went ahead and just wrapped my sanding sponge with a blue rad pad, but it's a pretty worn blue rad pad. I would say it's probably worn down to like the grit of a red. Those are from Dixie Belle, the rad pads, and they come in a combo pack. So you'll understand when you see the combo pack, the different colors are different grits. So I just lightly sanded that. Now I feel like it's ready for paint. For the technique I'm going to use tonight, we're going to have out. Can you see my tray pretty well? You're all good right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will adjust accordingly.
Okay.
Carry
I
on.
just wanted to check. If you need me to do it, let me know.
Carry on.
I'm going to use 4 brushes. For a 2-color blend, I'm going to use 4 brushes tonight. Okay, I've got a brush out for each one of my colors. My yellow is one color. My buttercream is one color. So that each of those get a brush. I've got out the best dang brush. The best dang brush. This is from Dixie Belle. It's a great blending brush. I had to open a new one tonight because the one I used for this is actually wet, and I didn't want to use a wet brush, so I didn't wash this beforehand. You guys want to wash these when you open them because they tend to lose more bristles. Natural bristle brushes tend to lose bristles, so I'm hoping I don't lose too many tonight. I've been trying to kind of work it, but you want to wash your brush and work it a little bit too and get out any loose bristles from the manufacturing process on those. Best dang brush, and I have out my oval medium. See if it stands
Oh,
up.
look at you trying to get fancy.
The fan's going to blow it over. Okay, so I'm going to use 4 brushes tonight. That's what I've got out. I also have out a mister bottle that is just full of water. And I'm going to use that too. I know it's hot right now. A lot of us are getting heat waves, especially this weekend. It's supposed to get even warmer. I'm using a lot more water with my paint because of the temperatures in my area. Just open that paint. I got little crummies on my tray. So I am going to use probably quite a bit of water. So I've got my surface has been sanded and dusted. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spray it with a mist of my water. Okay, and that's just to kind of lubricate my surface. This is my second coat. I don't need a lot of paint. And then, you know what? I'm going to let this be a dry brush. I'm just going to fill it with my paint, and I want to get some paint on here.
Wow, Brittany says 108 for 2 days in Seattle this weekend.
Yes.
Yikes.
So Emily, you guys, was on last night, and she's with Weathered Hearts Designs, and she's another Dixie Belle brand ambassador. She lives up towards you, Brittany, and she is going through a heat wave. I'm in California. We're getting the heat too. Okay, I don't need to worry about around the edges. I'm just doing a blend in the center of this tray. So, and I already feel my paint starting to dry. I also have a fan going in the background, which is not helping things at all. And I know that, like, when I have to do a big surface like that, I will turn off fans in the background, just get the job done, even if it means you gotta sweat it out. All right, I've painted a basic square. I just put my paint inside the tray in a basic square, and now I'm gonna come back, and in the center, I'm going to add a little bit of my buttercream. Buttercream is not a pure white, it's kind of a creamy white. And I'm going to add very little of this. I don't want the white to overpower my yellow. It's just going to be a highlight, you guys. It's not going to be like an actual two-tone look. More water. And I'm just going to kind of brush this out into the basic shape I think that my highlight is going to go into. At this point, I'm just putting the paint on. I do use brush strokes going both directions, and that helps work the paint together. I'm not trying to keep my buttercream in the center pure. It's okay if it turns a little bit yellow, because I'm blending it into a yellow. Okay, so this is where I am right now. Not a very good blend at all, but we're going to get there. I'm going to add a little bit of water. And now I'm going to bring in Besting brush. If you're doing large surfaces like this, I highly, highly, highly recommend the Besting brush. It is the fastest way to work a surface like this. But I'm going to take this brush and I'm basically going to swirl this paint out. So
Oh, Jamie, I agree. Sorry to cut you off over there with your informative information. After 75 degrees, it's just plain hot.
Yeah,
I don't care what it is.
It's not even funny anymore.
Where it is, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so what I did is I started in the center before you started rudely interrupting me, and
That's what I do.
I'm just gonna work it. I'm working it in a swirl that gets wider and wider as I go around. My paint is nice and wet because I added that water.
And yes, the yellow is Kernel Mustard.
It's Kernel Mustard tinted
Mixed.
with collard greens. It's just tinted. It's barely any collard greens in there. I have it on this little stool, which is kind of nice because I can turn my tray too. Okay, and I'm just working.
We call that a lazy Brandy.
Okay, once my brush starts picking up a little bit of my paint, gets a little muddy, I'm gonna take that off onto a rag as much as I can. I don't like it to get too wet and muddy. All right, and now my colors are pretty much where I wanted them to be. But I made a whole bunch of swirl marks because this is a natural bristle brush, right? So it makes a lot of marks. The bristles are a little more firm. I've got a little bit of my white paint. Let me get it off. So the bristles are a little bit more firm. So that swirling with the Besting brush leaves bristle marks. Dang it, I'm going to have to touch that up. Okay, so I want to smooth out all those little swirlies I left with Besting brush. And the oval medium does that really well. So I just kind of follow the same pattern I did with the Besting brush, only these are much softer bristles, so I'm just smoothing out the swirl marks with this. I didn't lose any bristles in that, thankfully. And let me touch up over here. I got a little bit of my white paint onto the side. That's okay. I just want it to be pure Kernel Mustard on the edges. Okay, so let me show you where I am with this right now. Okay, So I've got a light highlight. I'm gonna need to do this a second time. So I'm gonna let this dry. It's a very, very thin coat of paint that I use. Barely any paint is on here. I already had my coverage from my first coat. So I want 2 blended coats. It just makes this highlight a little more apparent if I do it twice. I just like the look a little bit better. You know, it's covered. I probably could get away with leaving it like this. I just prefer to saturate those colors, make more definition, I guess. So I'm gonna set this aside, and we're gonna repeat it on this drawer. When I come back, this should be ready that we can go ahead and put a second coat on it again.
I would agree. That sure is a pretty rug you're painting on.
You like that? This was a rug that we had, and it was in our house, and it was gonna go in the garbage, and because we replaced it, and I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna use it as a drop cloth. It's basically just a drop cloth. Okay, so I have this drawer here, and I want to do the same thing. I want to get a little highlight right here in the center. We're just going to kind of keep repeating this process. And then I'll show you what the next steps on this finish are going to be. It actually goes pretty quick. So I do my light sanding over my base coat. And then I'm going to tack off that dust. My cloth is a little bit damp just to tack off any dust.
Got the crew hitting Sheila up to figure out where she is.
Yeah, where is she? I haven't seen Sheila lately. I think she's abandoned us, guys. I don't know, maybe she moved on to like a new hobby or something. Okay, I'm going to spray my surface, and then I'm just going to give myself a little outline of my paint. Very, 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 very little paint. I already have the coverage that I need. Alright, so I gave myself a little outline. Now I'm going to fill in about here.
So the tray came with the cart.
Yeah, yes, it's part of it. It goes in here, right here. It's like a shelf, but it's a removable tray. I know, this is like a transformer project. Okay, so that's about where I want my highlight. I'm going to add some water. I'm going to best dang brush it.
Aaron, are you excited to spray this one?
Yeah, that's not a joke. In fact, so here's what I will say, Aaron. I wish I would have had Sean spray my base coat on this. It would have saved me a lot of hardship. I used a lot of paint on the base coat on this.
Aaron, you nailed it.
So I best dang brush it. That looks pretty, but I've got some swirl marks in my paint. I'm just going to soften those out with my oval medium. So you can kind of see every brush plays a little bit different role. And again, I feel like here I want to do another coat. I want to keep these sides, these are true to my Kernel Mustard, so I'm going to true those up a little bit. Yeah, we were actually talking about spraying this. What that means is once I'm done with all the finishes on this, Sean's going to spray the clear coat on it.
So when you're doing this, how do you avoid getting the brush strokes in there?
Well, I'm telling you, I'm getting the brush strokes with my besting brush. It is leaving those swirl marks in there. Okay, and so all I'm doing is I'm smoothing them out with the softer bristles of the oval medium afterwards. So I'm using each brush to my advantage. The oval medium, or the besting brush does something better that the oval medium doesn't. When I need to blend large surfaces, it really gets through them fast. Okay, but this one gives me a smoother finish. This one gives me a little more brush strokes, moody, cloudy variation, and this one smooths it out. So as far as when I'm laying the paint on, it doesn't really matter if I put brush strokes in it because I come back and swirl it all out anyway. So this is what's leaving my brush strokes, and then I'm fixing them with the other one. All right, so we're gonna do this. I mean, I feel like I could blend this out again. This one's pretty dry. Go ahead and do the tray again, and we'll come back and do this again. It goes pretty quick, guys. I mean, I did this top in about 15 minutes. Okay, but I had to just go at it super fast, like break a sweat, and I got this done in about 15 minutes.
Put your cape on and knocked it out.
Yeah, Sean knows. He was like, "Man, you're breathing hard." I know.
Running track over here.
Okay. So same thing. I'm going to repeat my process. I'm going to give myself some water, not with that Mr. bottle because it kind of sucks a little bit. I'm going to frame this out in my Kernel Mustard.
Now the question did come up as far as what do you find yourself doing more, spraying or brushing. And obviously
I
it's...
definitely brush more. I usually only spray my clear coats because when you're doing a multicolor finish like this would be near impossible for me to spray and get this finish. So I brush my paint, spray my clear coats. Sometimes I will spray paint and other products if it's like a solid color finish, but I don't do a whole lot of those. Okay, so I'm just repeating the process. I'm giving myself my basic shape here. This one comes out much better. This is where I can see this blend look much better than that first coat. All right, my basic shape. I'm gonna besting blend it out. Kind of starting from the center and working my way outward, and that's because every swirl pulls those colors together. I feel like I want a little bit more buttercream on here, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. So that's the other thing. If you feel like you don't like where it's going, you can add water while your paint is still fresh. You just add some water and you can go right back to square one. I'll do it right now. I don't like that blend. Go right back to square one. Try it over again. You can do that a few times before you start reactivating your paint and pulling the paint from underneath. My base coat's nice and dry. I just need to be careful of the one I just put on like 10 minutes ago. Alright, and now I'm going to blend it out with my besting brush. Just using a swirling motion. I'm being pretty light on the bristles, not a whole lot of pressure. I've got it at a full, it's fully perpendicular to my surface, so straight up and down, not at an angle. Okay, this is just kind of getting the paint where I want it to be, but now I need to smooth out all those millions of little brush strokes that I just made. This is like a feather duster. I know you like when I make like
you know what a feather duster is?
I mean, I saw someone use it one time. I watched Alice in Wonderland.
Oh my god.
You know, with the little dog that's like a feather duster?
Oh man.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like I would know this?
It's just where I get cleaning tips from.
Oh, that's good.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let me look at this. Make sure I like it before I tell you this is what I like. Alright, I think that's really pretty. So you can see it's more saturated on this second coat than it was when I did that first coat. So this is where this tray is going to stay. I am going to add some of my sunflowers on here. You cannot add a transfer when you have any moisture on your surface whatsoever. So until this paint is fully dry, I cannot even consider adding that transfer on here. You always need to make sure your paint is fully dry if you're adding a transfer. That really, really, really makes a difference.
Well, we have a few ladies over in Waco.
Oh, yeah? Hello, everyone. You guys pop on and say where you're watching from. I do go back and watch these, and I see everybody's popping on and saying hi. Okay, so this is how this tray works. Do you see it sits in here like a shelf? See that? And then it pulls in and out like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this drawer here, and then I'll show you what the next step on this finish is going to be. So same thing, we're going to repeat the process on this drawer. A little bit of water on my surface. Give myself a little bit of paint. It's not a lot of paint that I'm adding, you guys. I just want that. I don't need full coverage from it. Alright, so that was my Kernel Mustard mix. Add my little bit of buttercream in the center. It's a little bit sticky, so add some water. Might have been a little too much buttercream. We'll see as I go. If that's too much, if I want to, I can add more Kernel Mustard. Yeah, I think I want to. I'm just going to add a little bit more of my Kernel Mustard here. I just got a little heavy-handed with that buttercream, and it took away some of the yellow. I want it to stay nice and yellow. So I'm just going to...
Holly says, I from Luke Bryan's hometown.
Oh!
And she posted it, but it's going so fast I didn't catch the name.
Oh man, I don't know where his hometown is, although my kids are, we watched American Idol this season. I haven't watched American Idol in years, but my kids got into it this season. Little bit of water because I feel it getting sticky. Right now I'm just working out those little bit of swirly brush strokes for my besting brush. So I let the Besting brush do what it does well, and then I'm letting my oval medium do what it does well, which is just smooth it out. I'm just gonna.
Wow, over on the ground we got Argentina, Australia. Wow.
That's amazing. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know. Does Instagram tend to have more international audience? What do you guys think of that? All right, so I think this looks pretty. So now I didn't blend out the whole thing. Like my spindles, these are a solid color. I have a lot of spots on here that are solid color. I blended out this, the drawer, the tray, and then this bottom shelf. Okay, so I did all that after I had my base coat of paint on. Let me put lids on, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do with waxes on this piece. And the waxes are going to be kind of a third color that I add on here. But I'm doing it in wax instead of in paint. Alright, so this is a drop leaf, you guys, and I don't want these, I just painted this. I don't want these to make contact, full contact, until this is fully cured. So I brought out a paper towel, and I'm going to add some paper towel in here so that I can put this drop leaf up on camera without them touching. I'm just gonna kind of, I'm gonna send this home with my customer too and tell them, don't put these drop leaves up until this paint has fully cured, which takes 30 days. Because I don't want them making contact and then it gets hot in the room or humid and it softens those finishes and they're gonna stick. Don't want that.
So the colors again that you're playing with, Kernel Mustard mixed with tinted with a little color green.
It's Kernel Mustard tinted with collard greens and Buttercream.
Which is the lighter color.
Yes. So it's a 2-color blend that I just did, but one of my colors is a mix. Yours doesn't have to be. You could use straight Kernel Mustard. This is straight Kernel Mustard. Can you guys see the difference? I feel like you see how really yellow Kernel Mustard is when you see the tinted version. I just like to tint Kernel Mustard. I love the color. I love the color 10 times more when it's tinted. So I usually always tint my Kernel Mustard. You can also tint it with chocolate. Same thing, just a couple tablespoons in a 16-ounce container, and it will take it down to this really more of a curry color. Okay, so what I'm going to do with waxes, I brought out 3 waxes. I'm going to get this paint off here. I just don't.
I figured I'd get this for Kernel Mustard.
Oh, with the candlestick. It's in the library. I saw him in there in our formal library. I brought out 3 waxes, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. I'm going to experiment with a couple. I'm going to start. This has oil on the bottom of it. What is on here? Oh, that means I've got something on my shelf.
Oh, I changed the motor oil with it.
No, that means I've got something on my shelf. Oh, I'll have to look. It's like scented too. I can't tell what that is. Something leaked out on my shelf. Okay, so I'm glad I didn't put that on top of my paint. I'm going to put a rag up here. Alright, so that's my grunge gray wax. I got out black and I got out brown, and I'm going to test them and see which one I like better. These are all the same thing, just in gray, brown, and black, and I want to accentuate all the turnings on the spindles. You guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to do a lot of wax work on this.
So as far as transfer that you're going to put on this?
Yes.
What are you putting on this?
Did you guys see my transfer?
The question was there, so I figured it was easier for you to show.
So this is what it's inspired by, and I'll show you guys, because once you see the transfer with the color, it really makes sense together. This is going to have the sunflowers transfer on it.
She had said that Clue on the VCR was her favorite game.
On the VCR even. Nice. Okay, so I will lay these out across the top. There's going to be some on the tray.
And some on the floor.
Some on the So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of sunflowers. I don't know, when I say sprinkle, I like my transfers to always be grounded to a corner, like they're in trouble. Yeah, no, but I need them to be grounded. I don't like floating transfers. Like I won't put one dead center of the table or anything. It's going to be kind of grounded, like it's connected to something. And it will I will cut these out, and I'll have to work with the placement a little bit where I'm going to place these. But this is going to be decked out in sunflowers, a little bit on the drawer. They'll just be kind of popping out everywhere, except for there won't be any on these spindles. So I'm going to do some wax work on my spindles. Spindles, are not fun to paint, guys. Everybody knows they're not fun to paint. Secrets on them, there really are not any, except that I tend to use a horizontal brush stroke and go up and down, and I work my way around the spindle.
Oh, I have tricks for how to paint
If you
spindles.
go up and down like this, you end up getting paint concentrated because your brush catches all the ridges, and then it'll leave thick paint spots. So I work it horizontal around spindles. All right, so I'm gonna try gray first because I want a subtle look. But I don't know if this is going to be too subtle. That might work. So I'm going to actually just go with this is a natural bristle artist brush that I'm using. It's a small guy. And I'm just going to put a little bit of wax into each crevice, and then I'm going to come back and I'll show you. I'm going to soften it up.
Oh, we're going under.
Yeah, I actually like the gray against the mustard. It's not too dark. Just enough that I can add a little bit of shading. Yeah, put that drop leaf up, but it might be in your way too. I'm gonna put it back down, I guess.
No, you're okay. It's okay. You're in my way.
You want me to get off camera for you? All right, I'm putting wax on raw paint, you guys, which I'm finding I've been doing more and more, and I think the difference is comfort level. If you're unsure about applying your waxes, put a clear coat on first, and that gives you, then your paint is protected. You can play over top and not be risking messing up your paint finish. You don't have to. You can apply your waxes onto raw paint. I feel pretty comfortable working with waxes, so I've been applying them more and more onto just my raw paint. I like the way that gray, can you see how it brings out the turnings a little bit? Just by darkening those crevices. So I think gray wax on this is how I'm gonna go.
Well, Lynn's got a point. Painting them isn't so bad. It's stripping them.
Oh my gosh. Don't even say that. No. Oh, absolutely not. I would turn that down every which way.
It's when I get out the soda sprayer.
Run. Yeah, yes. The soda blaster, you can, sodium bicarbonate is baking soda, and it comes in commercial quantities, and you can blast it with a gun.
Look here, Bill Nye. Okay, I just said soda.
It's a fine abrasive. Well, I don't want people to think it's like,
yeah, it's like Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. So then I'm using 2 natural bristle artist brushes. These guys here, these are both in my Amazon shop if you're looking for either one. That link is pinned to the top of my Facebook page at Brushed by Brandy. It's also in my profile on Instagram. So I brush them on, and then I'm just taking a rag, and this just takes it back off again. It's going to soften it. Now, if you've already sealed before your waxes, when I do that, it's going to take off even more. But I love on unsealed paint, the little bit of residual that the wax leaves is really soft and pretty. So here is one that has the waxes on it, and here is one that doesn't. Can you guys see the difference? It's going to bring out all of these individual turnings. It will probably take me about an hour to go around all the spindles on this cart, which isn't that bad. I don't think it is anyways. But I'm going to emphasize all of these turnings with a little bit of Grench gray wax. Let's see. I want to stay where you could see me. How about come over to this guy here? The only thing I'll say about this is it has wheels on it, so at least it was easy to move around. I didn't have to put it up on wheels because it already came on some, although I ended up taking those off at some point too. I will also use this, I'll show you on this section here. I'm going to use this for a little bit of shading on places that aren't the spindles too. But I'll finish this.
And your rag is dry.
My rag is dry. I have 2 of these out because I showed you one damp. I have 2 of the same rag out. So I've got one up there. When I tacked off my desk.
That's crazy. That rag looks new.
I think these were actually like our first kitchen towels when we first moved in together. Do you remember these?
Oh, it feels like it was a long time ago.
These used to be in our kitchen a long time ago. Like, I want to say even pre-kids.
Yeah. I feel like it's been decades.
Like, single Sean and I actually shop. I think we got them at like Walmart or something. You know when you first move out and everything you own is from Walmart? Those were the days. like our first house together. Oh my.
Oh, come on. You gotta be.
Oh, sorry, I just flung my brush across the room.
What'd that brush do to you?
I actually really like these brushes too. I would have to look at this from different angles to turn this cart to make sure I got all the way around. I can't see if I missed a spot on the other side, so hopefully I didn't, but I'll turn this later. And then I'm just going to take it back off. It just leaves this nice little softness in these turnings and actually brings out some of these details. So I rarely use wax to seal my piece. I usually use the clear coats from Dixie Belle, but I use waxes on near every piece decoratively. So wax can be a protective coating. It can also be a decorative coating, and I'm using it just decoratively here. All right, that's really pretty. So the other place I'm thinking I'm going to use it is I'm going to shade around these little corners underneath this table down here. I'm just going to darken up the corners. Same thing, I just ride my brush in those corners. I'm going to go under the top too.
Oh, come on.
You can't.
Are you kidding me?
You can't get up underneath there. Go get your mechanic's creeper.
Oh my gosh.
You're going to need to get on your back for this one. Sorry, guys. Can you see a little bit anyway?
I can see the piece.
I'm going to dump my wax.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
Like
Don't
that.
do that.
Like that? Yeah? Okay, and then I'm just going to soften this out with this other brush. I'm not adding any wax to the second brush. All the wax is on the surface just from what I added from the first brush. Dixie Belle waxes are water-based, so I will be able to spray this piece with a clear coat afterwards and seal these decorative waxes in place. So that's one thing I love about working with Dixie Belle waxes. That's not the case with every brand. If your wax is an oil-based wax, you do not want to put a water-based clear coat over the top of it.
Oh, Betty.
It won't adhere.
Have to get on your back. Where's Sheila when you need her? Right?
I know, Betty. We gotta
catch
We
him.
rely on her for these things. She picks them up as we're putting them out. I don't know. I haven't talked to Sheila in a while. I'll have to check in with her. All right, and then I just buff it away with the rag, and it's absorbed into the paint. I could take a wet rag if I don't like this, and remove some of that. So it's just a shading effect. You don't even notice it until you can see the difference side by side, and then you see what the waxes really do. It's very shady. Super shady. All right, you guys. So I'm going to finish the wax work on this, and I'm going to add the sunflowers, and then it'll be sprayed in clear coat. And that'll be the final for this. If you don't have a sprayer, you can absolutely wipe on your clear coats or brush them on. I like to spray my clear coats.
Yeah, you do.
It's super easy for me.
It's like how I like to get those spindles painted.
It's like I didn't even do it at all.
It's so weird.
Sean sprays my clear coats for me. All right, you guys. So I don't know. I hope that was helpful, but I really think if you struggle with blending, even if you don't struggle with blending, the besting brush sometimes is just the easiest way. For large surfaces, 100,000 million%. I did a large bed frame in a blended finish too, and there's no way you can blend across something that large, keep your paint wet, keep it moving, in a large surface and not have, I think, the besting brush. So I did a large headboard with this. Even if you're doing a large dresser, this tabletop, it's necessary.
So to go over that percentage again, what was that? Like a million thousandth? What?
It's a lot. It's very scientific, guys. I did a study
with one person.
Triple blind placebo study. Trust me. Okay. Everything I say is verified. All right, you guys, I'm going to pop off. This will be my video on YouTube next week. It will have the full finish. You'll get to see it all from start to finish on my YouTube channel. Next week will be this tea cart. But this week, I have another piece coming out. Do you guys want to see what you're going to get on video tomorrow? You ready to go mobile with me?
Well, come on now.
It's just right across the room.
Oh my gosh.
So my finish on YouTube tomorrow is going to be...
Oh, it's over there?
Yeah.
I knew that. I just, you know. I really like your stool.
It's going to be this piece right here. We worked on this a couple weeks ago. But this is going to be the piece that you get a full tutorial on my YouTube channel. Tomorrow it premieres. So go subscribe to my YouTube channel at Brushed by Brandy. And this one will be up in the morning. Alright, you guys?
Unlike you.
Yeah, I will not be up in the morning because Thursdays are, like, this kind of ends the week for me. And then my weekend begins.
I feel like you're looking at the ceiling if I hold this one up.
I do.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it because you're not getting all my chin.
Oh, then let's
Like,
get down.
low.
Let's get low.
Alright, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us another Thursday. We always enjoy you guys coming, and I love, love, love seeing everyone on here and watching these back with you guys. So, enjoy your weekend. Stay out of the heat, and we will catch you guys next Thursday. If you guys want to check out anything I used tonight on the video, there's a link above in the post, and you can find everything I used up there. You can also find a retailer where you can find all the Dixie Belle products that I used as well. If you want to see those in person, use that find a retailer function. All right, have a good weekend.